Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Mbombela Invasive Forum. My name is Ditsepu Mojapelo from DFFA, which is Forest, Fishery and the Environment. So I'm a biosecurity inspector and a biosecurity compliance. Today I'm going to do a presentation on alien and invasive species regulation. This is my overview. What is an invasive species? Common characteristics of invasive species pathway, the act which is named by the category of listed invasive species, what are restricted activities in relation to AIS, duty of care of invasive species, control and eradication of listed invasive species, and challenge and way forward. Some of us, they can ask, what is an invasive species? Invasive species, it can be a plant, fungi, or animal that is not native or origin from a certain specific area, and which have a tendency of spread to believe that it can cause a damage in terms of environment, economy, and also human health. In terms of human health, we have some of the species like Parthenium. When you go that side of Malelani, I think most of them, they also call it Maria. So that species, it's so dangerous to a human being. If you might find that you control that kind of species without PPE, it can infect your skin, your eyes, and also sinus. And also invasive, it can cause a huge damage on agricultural production. For example, we have pom-pom, which is this one. Normally you will experience this kind of beautiful flower during or after rain season. This kind of species, it can damage agricultural production because it's spread or is developed fast. So it's competing with grazing. So imagine if a farm is dealing with cattle. So he or she will have a challenge in terms of grass in future. So we are encouraging the farmers, the private landowners, and also the municipality to control. The second slide is talk about the common characteristics of invasive species. If you can check, most of them, they grow fast. Most of them, they are strong competitor in such a way. If, for example, if we can take Lantana camara or a blue gum, one of a blue gum, they are so selfish. They can grow and shade other indigenous species. So to find out those indigenous species, they are no longer receiving enough sunlight. At the end of the day, they are going to die. So another characteristics, they have a high reproductive rate. Also, they produce a large number of seeds. For example, here another gentleman here complain about forestry. If you can check on the forestry guy, most of them, they are planting their plant on top. And it's where it's we call it bank, I forgot the name, but it's bank seeds, where you might find that those species that fall under category 2, those seeds, they just go through down especially if we are experiencing the rain or we have a stream. So they started to be more spread. So again, we have most of them, they have a short germination times compared to indigenous. So you can have invasive species here, you compare with indigenous. At the end of the day, the invasive is going to germinate fast than them. That is why most of them, they can even tolerate the wide range of environmental condition. And also the flower and fruits are, those alien invasive species, you can experience flowering or fruit at the early age of stage, and they live long. We also have the invasive pathway. So we have 3 ways of invasive pathway, which is natural. In terms of natural, if you can check here, it's caused by the animal in most cases, like birds, small animal. You can see here we have a beautiful fruit, the red one. It's attracting the birds while they are flying on top here. So then they will come to that trees and consume that fruit. Later on, they will land somewhere else and release. When they release, when they release those seeds, after we're experiencing rainfall, then you'll start to see another type of this species that it consumes somewhere else. Again, we have the accidental disposal. It's also caused by birds as well, and also some other cattle, like, also other animals like cattle. For example, in terms of cattle, sometimes you might find that they are consuming a certain species that is being listed. So after consuming that species, they just go for grazing. Later on, they will release some boobs, same as the birds. Then we will experience that, that kind of species. Then we have the last one, which is intentional disposal. In most cases, when you check the last one, it's happened when most of the people who love garden, and also researchers and also doctors, they plant some of the invasive species in terms of ornamental, if you love garden. Some of the guys also, they plant invasive species for medical research and also for herbal as well. So if you can check, the large amount of the widespread and naturalization of invasive species can be traced to the popularity as an ornamental plant, and also propagation for medical uses or pet trade. You know, coming to pet as well. When you enter inside the pet, you might find that they have a certain kind of pet that is an invasive, and sometimes they experience some challenges where you might find that those kind of species, they just escape without even noticing, but they are sealing them. So it's also giving us the challenge in terms, because for example, if you might find that the pet owner, he or she's selling common boar without even microchipping it. If it can just escape, you'll never know who this snake is belong to Mr. Mojapelo, or this snake is belong to Mr. Mtap. So those are some of the things that we are encouraging people to control. Again, we have the Act, which is NEMA. Act, it's a National Environmental Management Biodiversity Act, Alien and Invasive Species Regulation 2024. Remember that regulation started 2014. The purpose is to prevent the authorized introduction and spread of alien species and invasive species to ecosystem and habitat where they do not naturally occur. And also is to manage or control the alien species or invasive to prevent or minimize the harm to environment and also to biodiversity, the biodiversity in particular. Then we have the categories. If you can check that AIS regulation, we have, it's containing 559 species in terms of plant and animals, so which need to be regulated or controlled. Those include plant, which is 383. You can see that is a lot of plant that is being listed, and working on a plant with containing such a high number. So if you know you are a landowner or you are a farm, it's going to be easier for you to download the listed invasive species so that you can familiarize yourself with those kind of listed invasive species. Then we also have the 41 mammals. We have 24 birds, we have reptiles, and etc. Then when you check that category of listed invasive species, it's been categorized into 4 categories. We have category 1A species. In most cases, it's dealing with Sambi people. But even us, from our side, we are regulating it. Then the category 1A, it says you need to eradicate with immediate. Reason being, that kind of species is not into our country that much. That is why we said the moment you see that kind of, is not well established in our country, then the moment you see that kind of species, you need to eradicate it immediately. Then we have another category, which is category 1B. Category 1B species, for example, we have Lantana, Camara around Mbombela, the one that is dominating, and also yellow bells and buckwheat. There are, I think, almost 10 species that is dominating in Lowveld. Then category 1B, we are saying the landowner or a person who finds himself with that kind of species, he needs to control or eradicate where it's possible. The reason being is that they are well established in our country. So we understand that there are some of the alien invasive species that they are aggressive. So that is why we said you need to control. And to control them, we know is expensive. So that is why we encourage the municipalities, the landowners to come up with control management plan. Then again, we have another category, which is the third one. It's category 2 species. If you can check under category 2 species, we have a few of them, but they are most important species to our economy. For example, when you check the forestry guide, they deal with that kind of species, like type of wattle, We have black wattle and sliver, the one that is been listed. They also deal with the type of pine. We have a platula pine, we have slash pine that they deal with it. Then we have the blue gum. We also have different types of blue gum that is being listed. Then we also have another species called casarinas. We only have 2 casarinas that is being listed. If you can check, most of the casarinas it used by the farmers for windbreak and also to trap the dust and also to protect the orchard or whatever they planted there. And also we have castor oil as well. It's very important, especially for the traditional healers. I don't know if we have traditional healers here. So some of the traditional healers, they use it, they say it for strengthening and other things. Then we have also the sisal, it's fall under category 2 as well. There are some of the people that still do some meds in using those sisal. So those kind of species, they fall under category 2, meaning if you are already in possession of that kind of species, you need to produce AIS permit. If you don't have a permit, you need to apply. As my colleague, she was presenting the permit section. So you need to apply, then you need to submit whatever document that they required, and also come up with a risk assessment report. Without risk assessment reports, because I realized that a lot of farms, they omit risk assessment reports. Then we have the last category, which is the 4th one. That one has been exempted, but it's been prohibited to trade or plant it again. If you are already in possession of category 3 species, like this one in jacaranda. And remember that you might find that this jacaranda is being exempted in a certain province, but here in Mpumalanga it's prohibited. So sometimes people also been confused in terms of species and also the areas. And also what I realized in Mpumalanga, people from Highveld, they keep a certain species. Then they said, no, here the suppliers say, no, it's fine, it's cold. Then Lowveld, it's when it's creating a problem. But according to AIS regulation, national list, if it's same Mpumalanga, it's same Mpumalanga in general. It's not defining Highveld or Lowveld. Another slide, it's what are restricted activities in relate to alien species and invasive species. So those are the restricted activities that if you want to keep a certain species, you have to know which restricted activities you want to use for that species. For example, if you want to grow and breed that species, then you need to highlight on permit application. And also you need to highlight the position, which is a physical. Remember, before they can issue that, this one is always there and it's valid for 5 years. Then also the conveying or otherwise, and again we have selling or otherwise trading of that species. Then those are the restricted activities in relation to alien invasive species. Then we have import introduction from sea. If you can check from here, category 1A. We are not issuing a permit for category 1A unless otherwise, if you want to do a research on a certain species, it's when you can write a proposal to the minister. In most cases, you find that this one is dealing with universities. Sometimes some of the universities, like University of Mpumalanga, there is a certain species that they want to do research on it, but we are not offering the permit. Since they submitted their research, then we are on the process of it. Then also on category 1B, we are not issuing the permit. What you have to do is to control them and also submit a control management plan. We only issue the permit on category 2 species. As I said earlier, that they are most important species. Then under category 3 is prohibited. If you have a certain plant or animals that you love the most, the moment if that plant or animal die, there is nothing you can do, you need to accept. Duty of care of invasive species. A person who is the owner of a land on which a listed invasive species occur must notify any relevant competent authority in writing of the listed invasive species occurring on that land. So on this one, if you know you have a big land where you have some of the plant or the species that you don't know them, you are welcome to notify us. We can come and we can come to help you to identify some of the species. Some of the species we will tell you what you have to do. If you want to keep category 2 species also, we will tell you you need to do. But remember that I'm not encouraging most of the people who own land like farm to keep a lot of invasive species. Because sometimes they will tell you that no, they produce a nice fresh air, the view is nice. Especially imagine if you have a lot of gums or black wattle. Then at the end of the day, if you are not controlling that and you have a stream or you have a dam, after a certain period of time, that stream is going to be reduced. Remember that the aim of controlling the alien invasive species also is to convey the water. Now we are in a crisis of water in South Africa. If you can check PE, the dam now is low. Soon they will be on a 0%. No water, they have to sell or come up with a plan. So I beg you, especially if there is any farms here, to start controlling your land, because since we are experiencing the crisis of water. The second one, take a step to control and eradicate the listed invasive species and to prevent it from spreading. This one I think is straightforward. So what you have to do, make sure that you contain your land, especially the municipalities. I know most of the municipalities, they're only focusing on waste and pollution. They forget about AIS. And they have opening spaces, they have reserve, they are not doing anything. Please, if you work at the municipality, try to take a step to control. And also take all the requirement steps to prevent or minimizing harm to biodiversity. Here, it's just saying you need to use the right method of controlling those alien invasive species. We have a project called NRM, which is working for otter. they deal with herbicide and also the method of controlling those invasive species. If you are not using the correct measure of controlling those invasive species, you can end up investing on loss, because the moment you control them, tomorrow they come, and when they come in more number. Control and eradication of listed invasive species. We say control and eradication of a listed invasive species must be carried out by means or method that are appreciated for the species concerned and the environment in which it's okay. It's what I just finished to say, that you need to take the right method too. Any action taken to control and eradicate a listed invasive species must be executed with caution and in a manner that may cause the least possible harm to biodiversity and damage to the environment. Those are the challenges within Mpumalanga provinces. If you can check the first point here, is the lack of database in provinces. So as I said, this program started around August 2014. So we started this program without a database around Mpumalanga. So we end up come up with a plan of doing a routine inspection where you will just go to the farm for a certain area and do door to door. So sometimes when you go there, you might find that the gate for those farmers, they've been locked. Sometimes they shout us that, no, why didn't do a proper appointment, Mr. Mojapelo? Then when you tell them that, no, the thing is that we don't have a database, they will tell you that, no, you know, we have other departments that they have a database where they can assist. Then when you go to that other department, they will tell you that is confidential. They don't want to help other departments. Then you ask yourself, where are we going to control those alien and invasive species? Then lack of awareness or advocacy around Mpumalanga. We still have a challenge in terms of awareness or advocacy around Mpumalanga in terms of alien and invasive species, because we're still also experiencing the state of organ working as a silos. Everyone white pen there. This is the challenge that we are facing. Then lack of engagement with relevant stakeholders as well. That is a huge problem as well. Then coming to the municipalities, we have a section 73 that state of organ, they need to develop a control management plan. But when you go to the municipalities, they don't have those control management plan. And we give the municipality time, a long time ago, around 2016, to submit those control management plan. Even now, some of them, they didn't submit the control management plan. And for me, it's not fair to focus too much on private land owners. And they're trying and they do their best to control. Why, as we are failing to control? So we need to come on board as well. So if you know you are working on a municipality, can you please just put AIS on your plan? Then also we have the Sandral that give us a problem. I think if you used N4, you will see a lot of yellow bells. There is another trees that have yellow leaves. There is plenty here. Wherever you are driving, you will see that kind of and it's listed invasive species. And a lot of private landowners, they're complaining that Sanral and also Transnet, they are not on board. So please, next time, can you invite them on this? Yes. Again, we have a challenge in terms of land reform. If you can check, we've been, there are some of the beneficiaries that they are already received their land. They are not taking care of their land here. So we have a challenge in terms of a land reform program. Because when you go there, sometimes you might find that the gate is closed. When you go there, tomorrow they say the chairperson is Mr. Mojapelo. Tomorrow when you go there, they say the chairperson is Mr. Mabaso. So they do duck and dive. So I was hoping that if NRM, they can come on board here and start to target this land reform program so that they can assist them in terms of clearing or herbicide. Way forward, which is the last slide here. I think it's straightforward. Working together, we can do more to fight those invasive species because they are stealing our land. So if we are not doing anything about those alien invasive species, I don't think the next generation, they will experience or see some of the species that we are experiencing now because of invasive species, and stop the damage caused by invasive species in South Africa. Thank you. This is my details up there.
Thank you very much, Ditsepu. Do we have any questions when it comes to compliance and the presentation that we've just seen now? In terms of who is responsible for what? I mean, gentleman over there, please tell us who you are.
Hi, my name is Owen Walker. I work with my daughter in environmentals. We have a particular problem where we've got lantana in the next door neighbour's yard. Yeah. It's a huge, big area, it's a conservatory. They're not clearing it out and it affects us. How on earth does one go to get them to clear their lantana?
As I said, under the challenge here, sometimes we don't have a database for some of the properties. So if you are experiencing that kind of species, I will advise you to send a complaint to our department so that we can be aware and take it from there.
One of the things that we have seen where you can, where you have an issue like that, it's the best to get as much information as possible to the department. For instance, earth number, possible GPS coordinates, all those type of things. Once they've received the complaint, they have to follow it up, and it just makes it so much easier that they know exactly where to go to.
Because to add on that, we have different types of inspection that we are doing. We are doing a routine inspection, which you need to plan for it. And also we have pre-inspection. It's when you apply for a permit, we have to come and do verification on your facility. And also we have another one which is a reactive or complaint inspection. So the moment we receive that complaint, without wasting a time, we will attend you. Trust me, I'm the one who is dealing with that. Yes.
I think what we'll do at the end, there is an environmental hotline. Kay, do we have it? Then we can put it up at the end of today with their details. That deals with everything from invasive species to oil spills, you name it. And that would be the right pathway to contact. Do we have any other questions? Right in front.
Thank you, thank you. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
My question is, if you go to those farmers and they lock their gates and they unleash the dogs, whatever, why don't you summon them? Because I think in terms of compliance, you can issue penalties to those people.
Yeah, remember that we are living on the Constitution Council, where we have Bill of Rights. So there's no way you can just punish someone while you want that person to be compliant. At the end of the day, that person can tell you that I was not even aware of that. And if you take that person to court, in court they can end up being asking you, did you give that person awareness? He or she was aware. You see, those are the things that we are experiencing, but we are getting there. I get your point, but we are getting there.
I think that's now going to be dealt with under enforcement in the next speaker. We'll hear a little bit about that. And there have been situations in South Africa where land has been taken away from owners for not following through. We have a situation in Cape Town, which has recently happened. They were told what to do, they didn't do it, and the land has been taken away from the owner. So that's interesting. Any more questions? Then we can move on. Fantastic. Ditsepu, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing us up to speed with regards to compliance.